All right, it looks like we are live. Hopefully someone in chat will do me a favor and let me know if you can hear the music all right. I think the music just stopped. If you hear the music all right, the microphone is good, video feed, all that stuff that makes for a good stream. Okay, so I am playing D&D tomorrow night, and I need to prep the session. But first we're going to do a brief recap of what happened last time. We started the session with the players seeing 3 outriders on a hill far away. They had just crossed out of the desert after a long, arduous journey that the ranger was well prepared for. And they saw 3 outriders on a hill. After a while, they correctly deduced that these outriders were probably scouts or a screening force for the larger barbarian horde. They talked to the leader, this woman named Shaira, and after some terse words and insults, they tried to attack her. The other riders, they fought. The party had a decisive victory. They captured Shaira, but one of the riders got away and summoned the larger horde. The party, high on their horses, so to speak, decided to make camp on top of a hill and light a fire in the middle of enemy territory. Predictably, after that, the rest of the barbarian horde, they sent a larger contingent force out, surrounded the party, and chased them. The heroes had to run for their lives. They fled out of the hills and into the desert, this time unprepared. And that's where we're starting this session. Ooh, okay, Harper, Hampters here says, hi. Warforged Goblins says everything is fine. Thank you so much for telling me that. Black Knife and Daniel Leningar says, thanks for all the videos. It is my pleasure. Thank you for watching them. I'm really enjoying making these shorts. I'm happy that a lot of folks are finding them useful. Okay, so that's what happened last time. They have this woman that they've kidnapped, Shaira, this NPC, and they successfully ran away from the horde into the desert. So I'm not even sort of figure out maybe some things that are going to happen next session. And I'm kind of up in the air. I'm not really sure where to go. I'm sort of at a blank space, so you're going to see the whole shebang right here. So what are some things that I know, right? I know that they're going to want to interrogate the captive, Shira, right? They took all this time to capture this woman. They're going to want information about her. They'll want to know about the camp. Okay, cool. So I can make a list of things that she knows, and that could be part of the session. You can do that interrogation thing, right? Okay. So I have my own little system for running interrogations. I've already done it previously on another stream, and I have a video on my main channel about it. But essentially, she'll have a cooperation score, and then she'll have some things that she knows. And she'll reveal anything at her cooperation score or lower, and anything above her cooperation score that she knows she won't tell. So maybe that's something I can make later on the stream. Okay. What's something else I think the heroes are going to want to do? They're going to want to start raids against the camp. They're going to want to scout it out. They want to find it and scout it. It looks like it's, okay, reconnected successfully. Oh, goodness. All right, hopefully that everything is back to normal. Thank you, folks, for staying around. Wayne, you haven't got a chance to catch the stream before. You're super excited for this? Well, hopefully it lives up to your expectations. It's just sort of a stream of consciousness of how I sort of prepare my sessions. They are not well organized. It's just my raw thoughts, and I'm letting you folks see them. Okay, so so they're in this desert without any preparation. Like, they were expecting to cross the desert, find the camp, get resupplied there, and then continue on their journey. But now they've had to flee back into the desert, and so it's gonna be a survival mode. Okay. So what are some things about this desert, right? Because the survival rules as written in the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Player's Handbook aren't all that exciting, right? The combination of low DCs for the checks and really weak penalties for failing, right? Like, I think the DC for looking around you're trying to navigate a desert is like a DC 10, right? And anyone can be able to do that. You have to be able to, if you find food, you find 1d6 pounds of food, and a character only needs 1 pound of food a day. And anyone can forage, so it's going to be really easy to do that. So if you follow the rules and if you get lost, you only wander for like 1d6 hours. So if you follow the rules exactly as written, it's not really satisfying. And then you layer on top of that the fact that there's spells like Good Berry or Create Food and Water, really rip away that sort of wilderness survival element, right? It's not really challenging. So we're going to have to do a little bit of massaging here, right? So first off, the desert doesn't want to be crossed. And it fights back. Okay. So unless you know some sort of secret lore, or have some sort of knowledge to cross it, the DC is 25. So unless you're like a part of a caravan who's been passing down the secrets of how to go from dune to dune for generations, or you know some sort of like secret stars to point to, the wasteland shifts around you. Okay. So we're gonna make this whole little separate thing right here, right? Yeah, let's go ahead and make this little title, and we'll do Desert Survival. Okay. The other thing is, it's a desert. It's connected to the plane of fire. Oh, so in case you folks are wondering, this campaign is called Naar, and that's the name of the desert, which is like Dog Arabic for like Sands of Fire, Ramal al Naar, right? Okay, plane of fire. It is antithetical to water, which means your good berries turn into good raisins and don't work. And create water automatically fails. And the slot is wasted. Alright. Cool. So now... Alright. So now this is a little bit more challenging, right? The ranger... This is like general desert survival, right? Okay. What can our ranger do? Our ranger possesses some secret of how to navigate this desert, right? She has this ruby that she can look through. And when she looks through the ruby lens, she sees the ghosts of other people who have perished in the desert. And those people who are stuck wandering for eternity, they will guide her safely, right? She can find the spirit guides, but requires skill to convince them. So the first time we had them cross the desert, it was just, I made the ranger roll 1 survival check. She got a 20. So I said that she successfully prepared enough water. She knew the way, and she could find all the correct ghosts, because this was a common way for her. But now she's in a new part of the desert. So she'll have to convince new ghosts. New spirits to help her. So that could be one of the checks we have if they're trying to do this desert survival thing. Is can you get one of these ghosts to actually lead you the correct way? Maybe there's a charisma check. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Matthew Autodidactyl. How about some magic goats or sheep or other artiodactyl that eat crystals that grow in the desert moonlight? All right, that's actually a good one. So that's maybe some things they could find in the desert. So somewhere up in this document, I have a list of random encounters. And that's sort of what I do when I actually run overland travel. I do 1 roll for the first half of the journey and 1 roll for the second half of the journey, to see if there's any random encounters. So I think that's maybe something that I'll add here, that if they get lost in the desert, they will have to, we'll see for how many days they get lost instead of for how many hours. That could be one thing we could throw in there. And they'll have to roll an additional random encounter. All right. I'm going to store that in my mind and then go back to the end of this thing. So an environmental encounter. All right, we already did this base of the mountain planar gate opens. We already did this one last time. So if you can strike that. We did this one. They ignored it. We did an anti-magic sandstorm. We did this one already. We did another one last time. We did these dust methods. Yeah, we did the dust methods, and we did this one. So you said, all right, so a herd of goats eating crystal. And what's that going to be a warning for? Who are the goats' shepherds? Maybe... I don't know. What could that be a portent of things to come? Who would have a herd of goats out there? Warning for a rival tribe of evil elves. All right, one of our player characters already died, right? Zaira tribe. Exiles. All right, so that makes sense, right? So this herd of goats is going to belong to exiles that was part of the dead PC's tribe. There we go. Cool. That'll circle everything back in together. And so let's go ahead and throw that for a medium encounter. We'll have the actual exiles of Zahira's tribe. Raiders. Raider elves. They dervish and dance. Cool. All right. Hey, what's up, Jacob? Thank you for joining us. Geek discussion. A Cyclops. That is a great encounter throw in here. Oh, snap. Okay, I'm going to put that as a big ore, right? Ore of Cyclops. The Cyclops is the perfect thing to fit in like the hills of the desert, depending on where we are. Cyclops group. All right, we'll have 2 males fighting and a female watching. Then they spot the PCs and kill them for prize. For sport instead. I think that's the right bet. Okay, cool. So if we roll this encounter, both of these could lead to the goat, right? The goat could lead to both of these, but the goats are in the desert when they find them. It's a clue towards the elf tribe. If they find this goat thing in the hills, it's going to be a clue for the Cyclops. So here's how that works, right? If they roll, I have them roll a d12 and they have to roll for a random encounter. If they roll a 10, they get a warning of an encounter to come, right? Something that's out in the world that they're going to get a clue on. Big tracks of lion, feathers with silvery long hair too. It's a Sphinx track. If they roll an 11, they get an environmental themed or a medium combat encounter. And if they roll a 12, they get a hard combat encounter or something that progresses the story further along. All right, so what? Oh, shucks. There was something that I didn't want to forget. Earlier in the stream, and I already forgot it. Ah, shucks. Okay. Well, the good thing is this is recorded. I can always go back. Okay. So, when they're wandering the wasteland, these are some things they're going to have to... We'll make the rules for it, right? Here are the rules for it. Survival check. DC 15 with Ruby. Fail by 5 or more. And need to convince new ghost. Okay. Excellent. If you fail to check, you are lost for 1d6 days before you can find your way again. Instead of 1d6 hours, it's 1d6 days. We're gonna make it difficult. Okay. So we need 10 pounds of food for the group and horses. All right. DC for foraging is 20. Okay. And can the ranger do both, right? I think it's an either or sort of thing. Like you're either the navigator or the forager. So maybe we can create some travel roles. You'll have the navigator. Okay, yep. Here we go. We'll have to make a whole little mini system here. Why not? We'll have some fun. I think I've done this before, similar in a previous campaign. So this will fit right here. We have the navigator. Okay. And this is what they do. They have to make the survival check. I think this is pretty similar to what's already in the book, right? There's like this whole section of the player's handbook that does this. We'll have forge. All right. But a successful check only finds 1d6 pounds of food. Is that right? Let me pull up the Dungeon Master's Guide real fast. You know what? Can I share this with you folks? Yeah, hold on 1 second, people there in YouTube land. I'm going to switch so you can see what window I'm looking at. Hopefully. I might be smart enough to figure this out. All right, there we go. So very little of any food or water sources. I think that's a DC 20. And they get 1d6 plus the character's wisdom modifier to determine how much food in pounds the character finds. And then repeat the roll for water. Ooh. We can do that. Maybe the water always has disadvantage. Unless they find some way to do it because of the circumstances. Okay. Oh, and large creatures need 4 pounds of food per day. So maybe we can figure it out the right way. They have their horses. Oh man, yeah, this will be fun. Let's figure this out. They have 5 party members, 2 NPCs, and no, 2 NPCs. They have Fabian, who is their Horsemaster guide. They have the NPC they captured. They have their 2 goblin squires. So, right, okay. That's a lot of characters, right? So that's 10 people. That's 10 pounds of food just for the human beings. And then everyone has a horse, too. Oh, man. So maybe foraging is not going to be very, very difficult. So they need more than 10 pounds of food. They need 20 pounds. The group and horses. Gets 1d6 plus wisdom pounds. Loves the food. Right, let me switch back to the other document here. Chat, how are we thinking so far? Have you ever used their survival rules as written before in a campaign? How did they work out for you? Okay. So we also need to have... Okay, so water roll gets advantage. Alright. And so we also need maybe a scout or a lookout. And what do? They prevent random encounters. Encounter surprises. So if they fail their roll, group is surprised by combat encounters. All right, so if you look, chat, if you look in the corner of the screen, you see the map, right? And so each hex on that map will take 1 day to get across. They just came out from somewhere south of the hills, the Bikatua Hills. And I don't know where they're going to try to go. So I have to be prepared for them to walk across this whole desert. And so that's where we're doing all this stuff. So what the sequence is, they're going to tell me which character is going to do which role, which travel role for the first half of the journey. Everyone's going to make their roll, and then we'll roll for a random encounter. And then everyone's going to tell me their roll for the second half of the journey. They will make their rolls and roll again. And if they don't have the food, they don't have the water, then they'll start to suffer exhaustion, etc. We're also going to have to make sure that nobody is wearing medium or heavy armor, or else they're going to suffer additional exhaustion, because it's going to be hot weather. Okay. So let's put that over here, right? No food / water. Con save, or see, I do not like. All right, so here's how I want to do it, right? We can either do exhaustion or we can do fatigue. Fatigue is the alternative system here in Galder's Gazetteer, and it works surprisingly a lot like the 1 D&D rules. You get a -1 penalty to your worst attribute, and then they stack up. So we might do that instead. How am I handling rangers, or is this being built around a pre-existing group? How am I handling rangers? The ranger is playing the variant ranger from Galder's Gazetteer, which does not have the worst feature in the entire game, which is natural favored terrain, natural explorer. Because natural explorer completely removes all the survival challenges from the game. Right? You just automatically succeed in all these checks. It takes all the fun away. Instead, the Galder's Gazetteer version of the ranger it just makes the ranger good at these things, right? The ranger can track, the ranger, can climb and swim. In this case, the ranger is the desert ranger, so she is immune to fire damage, which makes her also immune to the heat. At higher levels, should be able to give that immunity to everybody, but that's not here. Okay, so if you have no food or water, you have to make a con save, or become fatigued. Okay. If no water, you auto fail hot water checks. Okay, so maybe that's how I can do it. We can mix it up, right? No food just makes you fatigued, but the hot weather makes you exhausted. There we go. That's where we can add some texture here. Now we have 2 different levers that we can pull with, right? So failing the food and water save gives you fatigue, which is these cumulative -1 penalties. But if you fail the hot weather checks, then you become exhausted, which is a much more penalizing condition, right? If no water, wearing medium or heavy armor, you auto fail the hot weather. And then you're exhausted. Okay, and what's the DC? The DC is going to switch every day. DC changes just based on the weather. It's going to be 10 plus 1d6. Plus 1d8. Ooh, that's scary. All right. Cool. This is nice. And you always have disadvantage on saves to find water, right? On checks to find it. So they make it DC 20 all the time. Oh, this is getting complicated, right? to see how many times they fail, and it's this per day. Yeah, so they're going to say, okay, we're going to try to make a 12-day journey. And so we're going to do the first 6 days all in one big chunk and see if they can make that. The first half of the journey, they'll make all these rolls. And so they have the potential to lose a whole lot. So I think we get the limited. They can only travel like 4 days at a time or something like that, instead of doing the first half, second half. I don't know. Maybe I can have the players choose how many days of travel they want to do at a time. And the trade-off is every travel period, they have to roll on the encounter table. I like that. That carries some risk. They can choose to, okay, we have a 10-day travel period, but if we fail our rolls, we're going to get really, really screwed over, right? We're going to have no food. We're going to be really, really exhausted. But they only have one random encounter roll to make. Controversially, they can do shorter travel periods, protect themselves, have a better chance of making some of these rolls, and a better chance of not getting screwed over by finding themselves completely exhausted with no food and water, but they'll have to roll more for random encounters. I like that. Okay, that's what we're going to do. The horses, maybe they just take HP so they eventually just drop dead. You know what? I'm probably going to do something like that, Matthew. That's a good idea. Ophius, thank you that you... if you have not checked out Galder's Gazetteer, it's like $24 on Drive-Thru RPG. All the proceeds go to charity, and you get some really cool classes. There's a rework of the Ranger, a variant Fighter, a variant Bard. I talk a lot about the DM toolkit on the YouTube channel, but like half of the book is player options, and they're really, really cool. All right, so okay, back into it, folks. Woo! All right, it's only 4:30. I got a bit more time. We can work on this. Okay. So I think that's a good way to do this sort of desert survival. And we have a whole bunch of random encounters already worked out. So now we need to work on maybe this part right here, this guerrilla warfare piece. We have, last stream, we worked a bit on this camp, right? So if they want to go there, we have some cultural touch notes. We can sort of describe things that are there. And we have information that the NPC, Shaira, will be able to tell them if she's convinced. But, okay. What else is going to be guarding this camp? Maybe we should put on that. What are Camp Shaira's guards? Oh. Let's check this down a little bit. Defenses. So they have a great gate that's magically sculpted. They have honor guards there. So the defenses, they have scouting teams, right? Of outriders. So for any given approach, if they're not stealthy, automatically found. To sneak by outriders. I should be able to figure this out like a hard way, right? Their stat block for these outriders is on my $1 Patreon, link in the description, but they're like veterans on horseback. It's going to be a DC 15 stealth check. Okay. And the outriders have ability that can call other people. What other defenses does this camp have, right? It's also a holy site, right? So it has natural wards against it. Against those... So let me think about this, right? If we have a big barbarian camp, like a big horse riding culture, and they decide that they make camp here for a long period of time because it's a holy site, how would this area protect these people, right? How would the land spring up to protect, the mothers giving birth, the newborns of the tribe, etc.? Where the players can get water from cactus fruits and this plants by garden sandworms. Well, that's what the survival rules are, Black Knife. When the players roll, 20, that means that they found a cactus they're able to break off and suck the water from its flowers. Or more accurately, right, when a player says they're looking for water, they say, okay, I'm going to look for a cactus that I can go suck its juices. And I say, okay, we'll go ahead and make a survival check to find this cactus, using your knowledge of where they would grow. Okay, those who would harm the younglings. The civilians, okay. So what sort of natural wards does this place have? I'm thinking like the roots spring up and restrain people. Thornweeds, yeah. Maybe brambles. It curses them too. That's the better one. And what sort of curse would it get? I'll just look up in the spell and choose. That's a cool one. Oh no, what's something even worse than that? Contagion. Yeah, they'll get a contagion level curse. Nice. Okay, so yeah, once you cross the threshold into the city, you're subject to this curse. Okay. Into camp with hostile intent. Okay, cool. This is a warrior culture, and so this camp is like their safe space, right? Yeah. And so if you do not have peaceful intent inside this camp, the camp itself comes after you. I like that. What sort of earth defenses would this place have? I don't think they would need any. I think that's it. They have people outside, and once you get inside, you get ill if you try to do anything bad. Okay. That's good. Alright, so what their guerrilla warfare tactics going to be, they're trying to maybe sneak in there, kill some raiders, kill some warriors, and get out. So maybe what I can do here is I can make a table of like disruption. And once they get so many points, just orders in the camp. And the tribe challenges Nog for leadership. There we go. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. So what are some things that they could do? They get 1 point for every group of outriders killed, defeated. They get 1 point for every house, for every slave freed. These people keep house slaves or like personal servants. They're not a great slave society, but because they're raiders, right? They go out, they'll capture boys and girls when they're children, and then just raise them as like their house slaves. House slave freed. But not just for every household. Right? You have to get everyone that's captured, right? But only the very powerful families in this clan will be able to have an additional body around. So that means that you're getting after the high status people if you're able to free the people they have captured. All right. You'll get this thing at the high end, right? You'll get 5 points for destroying the temple. In either temple. There's 2 temples here. And what's some other things that you can do? Maybe 2 points for... Alright. So, get 1 point for freeing horses. And then 2 points for killing someone inside the city and getting away. Okay, cool. And so if you get 10 points, there starts to be a rebellion inside the camp. And someone's going to come forward and say, Nog, you're being a terrible leader. You're weak here. We want you out. So the whole point of going to this camp is one of the characters, the ranger, Mika, she wants to kill Nog. Right? Nog burned down her family's abbey when she was a kid, and that's her whole story, right? It's revenge. Rawr. And everyone else is here to free slaves and to free horses. Because that's what they care about. So here's a whole list of things they can do to sort of accomplish that goal. I like this. Okay. And this is a nice framework too. If I could think of something else that they're doing that sort of disrupts the social fabric of this camp, I can say, okay, now you're getting some mini points. It's a good way to track progress too. I like this. All right, so we have a bunch of random encounters from their walking through the desert. We have some desert survival notes of what they can do. We have some details on the camp. Oh, the only thing we need to do here is Shaira, right? What does Shaira know? So earlier in this document, I have the goblin table. I'm going to go ahead and just copy that and bring it down. The goblin interrogation table. All right. And I'm going to make this one for Shaira. So when they try to interrogate her, I have something to roleplay off of. You know what? I also need to build up her personality a bit. Because I don't think I have much for her. Just like description. I made her a card just so I could roleplay a little bit. But now that they've captured her, they're going to spend a lot more time roleplaying. So she needs a bit more of a personality. Okay. Oops. Let's just bring back up here to Shaira. Okay. So go ahead and make this a title so it's easier for me to find later on. Okay. What Shaira knows. There could be a bit defensive structures with magic around the camp. Yeah, I think I described the camp as having these 2 horse statues above it that sort of act as the gate. Hello. And there's some magic attached to them. That's what's sort of radiating out the blessing and the curse. I created the so yeah, you know what? I'll maybe make a note of that. If they destroy those horse statues, the curse that is the warding that's protecting the camp is broken. And maybe they can make a religion check to know that. Okay. So all this information right here is from the goblins, which is a long time ago. So what is Shaira going to know? She's going to know everything about the camp, I think. Right? So the things that are way up here at the 12 is stuff that she's not willing to tell very easily. Stuff all the way down here is stuff that she's willing to tell. So she's really easy to tell there are 500 warriors in the horde. 500 warriors and 1,000 horses. Okay. Yeah, she's really eager to tell that Nog is the greatest rider she's ever seen. So what's something that she's not willing to say very easily? She'll know that the statues are sacred. And protect the camp. Okay, so maybe I need to adjust these numbers up a bit. So the way this works is this number right here is her cooperation score, or what she knows. And if they can raise the score, she'll reveal more and more information.
Jesus Christ, you get caught using it.
Okay.
You don't exist.
But right now, because she's a kidnapped person, she's not going to like them very much.
My computer.
Okay. So it's going to start out at whatever the person's highest charisma level is, at half of that. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. And then minus 5 because they hate her. So her cooperation is going to be at 3. She's not going to tell them anything until they can work some way to raise it up. But I want to put this information here because I like it. That Nog. Because I like having it on hand because it's possible that they could charm her or that they could give her something that she really wants. That's something we need to think about. What's something that she wants? Nog sleeps in the temple. That the women, that the priests sleep in small temple. There are 2 temples, right? There's a big, long, like common house temple, and there's a smaller shrine with the birthing mothers. So this tribe of barbarians, right? They practice a breeding season, right? Like the men and women abstain from having sex until like the proper time of the year. That way they can get everyone born at this camp during winter. And so there's naturally going to be a whole bunch of women in this area at the small time who are about to give birth. And they sleep in the shrine with the priest to keep blessing them. Maybe I'll put one more thing in here. That it's unlucky to go into the camp with ill intent. It's a safe space. There we go. That's enough. All right. Maybe give Shira a little bit more personality too. That was Fabian's line of dialogue. Move this down here. Okay. So let's give some adjectives to her. She's proud. She is. So what else do we know about her? She doesn't have many lines of dialogue. She is pragmatic. She decided that she didn't want to be killed. She'd rather live. And what else do we know about her? One other adjective to describe her personality. She's determined. She is fiery. She is I don't know, intelligent. Arrogant, that's a good one. You can put that with proud / arrogant. That's definitely what she is. Or maybe cunning. There we go. All right, so we have her physical look right here, and we maybe some. What's a good trait that she could have? I don't know. She spits a lot. That's her physical. Yeah, there we go. And then maybe her hair is messy. There we go. It's a mop of black hair. There we go. I think that's enough to sort of get around sort of things that she wants, right? She wants to go back home. She fears being thought of as a coward or traitor. Like she should have killed herself. others will say. Okay. And what does she have a secret? I think that's her secret, right? Is that her pragmatism outweighs her sense of honor to the clan. Self-survival is more important to her than the clan, but claims otherwise. There we go. There we go. I am liking this this person more and more as we sort of develop her character. All right, we only got a few minutes left, so let me just try to sort of run everything through my head here, right? So last session, the characters ended by making a camp on top of a hill, lighting a fire, knowing that they were deep in enemy territory, and 50 barbarians came and chased them off. They ran headlong into the desert and they were not pursued because it was a bad part of the desert. So the start of the session is they're going to realize that they are in a hostile wasteland with no provisions, and they're going to have to survive. They might find an alternative way to the camp, or they might try to find their way out of the desert, or they might try to find their way to a new area in the world. I don't know. But I have the plans for them to survive. We'll run this little mini survival campaign, right? It plays up the fact that this desert is supernaturally hostile to being crossed, that it doesn't like water at all. It's part of the plane of fire. It's just good berries to good raisins. I have mechanics that involve both food and water and the extreme heat. Okay. And I have this little roleplay scene potentially where the party has to convince a ghost to lead them to the right way, instead of the ones that the ranger knows that she finds a new spirit that may or may not try to trick her. A manticore. We had a manticore earlier in the campaign, and it killed Zaira. So while they're during this desert survival, they're traveling through. I have a whole bunch of random encounters already written that I can draw on, which will be good. Environmentals, encounters, roleplay encounters, big scary monsters, all sorts of cool stuff. So I'm sure one or two of those are going to be used. If they do try to go to the camp, we have this whole guerrilla warfare system worked out. They might try to get information from Shaira, who has a personality now and may be or may not be inclined to cooperate and give some information. If they try to do a guerrilla warfare route, we have a description of the camp, and we have this little table here of things they can do to cause social disorder. And if enough disruption happens at the camp, someone will go try to challenge Nog for leadership, and Nog will either be killed or banished. I don't want to kill him off screen because I don't want to take that away from the ranger. So I need to think of some way to connect that, right? If they get all this disruption, how can we have Mika come in there and actually land a killing blow on Nog? We'll figure that out when we get there. Yeah, and I think that's about it. There's other goals for them to accomplish in the camp of descriptions. There's horses to be freed, house slaves to be freed, and all sorts of cool stuff. I think this will be a good session. All right, well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your help in stopping by, and I'm glad to hear that you're interested in my thought process. If you have something you want to share, if you have some ideas that you would like me to include, I'm not playing till 6:30 tomorrow, and I read all the comments on these streams. So be sure to let me know in the comments below. See ya!